Good afternoon, nerds. Kelly Renee Miller here, and today's first edition Nerd Bite. Because yesterday I slept until I had to get ready for work, and then I went to work, and then I went out. And it just didn't happen, and I apologize. I didn't really have a good reason other than that. I just didn't do it. So I was just reading this morning's news by Nerd Bite. Words. I have them. Is regarding a Mary Sue article that I read about Meryl Streep. And she just spoke along with a few other ladies and Jon Stewart at a Women in the World panel. And she announced that she is starting a workshop or company movement school style thing, intensive maybe, for, sorry it's really bright, for women lady screenwriters over 40. And she also, I didn't have time to watch the whole 41-minute panel, but it's included in the link below in the description, so you'll be able to see it then. Meryl Streep is being an awesome feminist and an awesome lady or person over the prime age for Hollywood, and just really calling people out on, or Hollywood in particular, out on representation. Representation being just that. Like, it is a primarily male-dominant society, and that's reflected in the media, and it's a thing, and it's not that men don't need representation and that stories don't have anything to do with men, but, you know, ladies can be we can be bamps too, and that's not like we can be badass for being girls, or there's no qualifiers there. On a physiological level, there are some things just strength-wise that women would have to work much harder to achieve than men, but generally speaking, we can do all the things that boys do. And Meryl Streep, the quote that the Mary Sue article was talking about in particular from the panel was speaking about empathy, and how from a very young age, like most of the stories that we read as humans, but particularly as women, tend to be centered around men. Like she referenced Peter Pan, she referenced Tom Sawyer, and she said from a very young age, like, we see that, but we feel very free to feel more like Peter than Tinkerbell or Wendy, or more like Tom Sawyer than Becky. Like, that's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be like, even like high school, like I wanted to be Captain Jack Sparrow. Forget about Elizabeth Swann. Captain Jack's awesome. Elizabeth Swann is, there's no non-sexist way to say this, but it's based on how women are represented. She's just the girl. She's the pretty face, she's the damsel in distress, and yeah, she's very forward-thinking for that time, and she comes out and fights in the end, but ultimately, if you watch the series, her character actually ends up to be kind of conniving and a little bit of a trollop for a while, which is also not necessary. Why can't she just be a fighter, you know? Why can't why does she have to be like, whatever. I take issue with that, but my point is that we as women are very free to feel that way and empathize with characters regardless of gender, but that's not something that young men or boys are generally apt to do, or likely to do, or taught to do, because there's that as well, or allowed to do in some homes and families, and part of that is, you know, these stories were directed for little boys, but mostly there's a double standard. Yeah, it's alright for women to identify with men, but for a man to identify with a female character comes off as unmasked, it comes off as effeminate, it comes off as all these words that are just words but have a very negative social connotation because they not demoralize, effeminize, I've used this word I've used this word often, and I can't think of it now. But to demasculinize, which is not the word. I can't think of what the word is. Anyway, all that is beside the point. The point is that there should be no reason that female characters can inspire men as much as male characters have inspired women. And same with racial, like, ethnic characters of other races than your own. Same with characters of different sexualities than your own. Characters of different, not just like sexual preferences, but different genders and gender fluidity and trans people. There's no reason that one single person can inspire any single other person just based on personality, regardless of their external presentation. So when I went to WonderCon, I saw a few people, like, you often see gender swap cosplay, but you usually see women gender swapping male characters because frankly, there just are more male characters. And the flip side of that is that a lot of men, if they're cosplaying, they want to be like strong, and strong is not necessary. It's a different type of strength that's associated with, pardon me, it's hot in here. It's a different type of strength that's associated with being female, and not one that is as admired or looked up to as it is with men. Perfect example, Black Widow is an amazing character. Everyone loves her. There was actually WonderCon last year, there was a group that was the gender swap pinup Avengers. So you had all the girls in like the 40s things, pinup style, as Cap and Thor and Hulk and Iron Man. But they also had a male member who had gender swapped Black Widow. I really appreciated that. I thought it was brilliant. But to jump back forward, the Avengers 2, Age of Ultron is a movie that has mass appeal worldwide, male and female. Everybody, for the most part, unless you have a real hatred for big comic book movies, in which case, thank you for watching my vlog anyway. Mass appeal. Everyone loves it. Despite that it's, like, led by all white people, and there's only one girl in it. But Black Widow is a character, she was only kind of meant to appear in the Avengers movies, after her introduction in the Iron Man movies. But people loved her so much that's how she ended up with her storyline in Captain America Winter Soldier. And I did a vlog before that Scarlett Johansson and Kevin Feige are like talking about giving Black Widow not only her own solo film, but her own series of films. And that's beautiful and marvelous and wonderful. And yes, let's do that. But at the same time, my husband, who gave a good apology, like, you still have males, like, just referring to female characters as, like, the slut. She's a whore, she's flirting with everybody, she's just there to be eye candy, which is not what they said and not what they meant, but it's the out-of-context implication of things like that. That's the problem. Because no one would make those statements about, like, if it was a group of women, no one would make those statements about the guy. What the statements you would be more likely to get something like, oh, he's the one guy there who's clearly in love with just one girl, but all the girls are trying to get with him. Instead of, or like it would be a harem style thing, and that's not right either. But in all of the Avengers merchandise, Black Widow is represented on 3 items. I believe she's on a tote bag, she's on a mug, and she's on a belt or something else. But you know, there's hundreds of different products that are merchandised specifically for Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. Black Widow appears on 3 of them. Scarlet Witch, whom we're meeting at last, appears on 0. And the argument can no longer be made that, oh, our target audience is young boys, and they'll only identify with with the superheroes that they would want to be, because you know what? Boys like Black Widow, and it's not just because she's hot. It's because she's awesome. So all that to wrap it up, I think it's really brilliant what Meryl Streep is doing, and I think how she spoke about representation on an emotional level was very eloquent. And when I get the opportunity to watch the entire panel, I will, and I will probably speak on other things she has to say at that point. In the meantime, I will link I'll have the link to the article, which includes the embedded video in the description. All y'all nerds have a great day. I will see you later tonight. It'll probably be something a little more lighthearted, because it'll be right after work and I'll be loopy. Okay, bye nerds. Kelly Renee Miller, once again.